Good morning. My name is Valerie Leonard. I am the founder of Nonprofit Utopia. It is so good to be back. I've been away for a while, and we're now getting back into the rhythm of things just in time for Giving Tuesday. So, today we're going to talk a little bit about how you can get ready for Giving Tuesday. As you know, Giving Tuesday is right around the corner, and we want to share some last minute tips. And before we get started, let me share share my screen. Um, just a moment. Okay, so we're going to talk about getting ready for Giving Tuesday. And before we do that, we're going to talk a little bit about Nonprofit Utopia. We're the ideal community for leaders who want to start their organizations, learn how to manage and scale them better. And we also help people to do this through our online community, through consulting, through coaching, and some of our courses. And we have a safe environment where you can discuss things, that you might not necessarily feel comfortable speaking with folks, in your work environment or other environments. And our mission is to develop the next generation of ethical nonprofit leaders, and we want to make sure that between now and 2033, we can actually train up to 50,000 people in this work. And you can learn more about us by going through nonprofitutopia.com or nonprofitutopia.mn.co. So we want to talk a little bit about what Giving Tuesday is, spend just a little bit of time on that, and then tell you how you can get prepared. And most of you probably know that it's a global movement, right? It was started in 2012 by the 92nd Street Y and the United Nations Foundation. And it's basically a day of giving, right? It comes after Cyber Monday, which comes after Black Friday. The founders thought that, why don't we channel some of this energy and some of this money that people have on hand for holiday shopping? Why don't we channel some of that into giving for a good cause? And the rest is history. And actually, Giving Tuesday has expanded. It's not just a day of giving, it's also a day of service. If you're not part of a nonprofit, you want to give of your time, give of your money, and service, Giving Tuesday is right for you. So, business owners, individuals, nonprofits, donors, it's all good, right? So, again, it's the first Tuesday after Black Friday, and then this year it's going to be on November 28th. And we're going to share with you some things that you should be doing from now until Giving Tuesday. And we encourage you not to stop, right? Don't stop just because Giving Tuesday has come and passed. It takes a while to build momentum. So you want to continue even after Giving Tuesday to raise funds and then even into the next year. In fact, fundraising is not just a once a year thing, it's ongoing. And, just a few minor details. For Giving Tuesday, you no longer have to register. There was a time when you had to register, but now they just have materials that you can, download, and not necessarily, they're not necessarily trying to track the movement all around the world, but you can still self-report some of the activities that you're doing. So you want to also see if your city or state or other local community is planning any activities, and you might want to coordinate with them so you're not competing. And then you also want to download the resources for nonprofits. If you're a member of the Nonprofit Utopia community, we will be gathering again, members only. We will share some of those resources and walk you through a process of developing an effective content marketing strategy. All right, so what you should be doing today, obviously, as with any other planning process, you want to set a goal, right? And you also want to consider your target audience. Is your goal to raise X number of money? Is your goal to engage Y number of prospects who could eventually become donors? Is your goal to get people engaged in a service project? And at some point, after this ongoing engagement, they then become, say, board members or employees or whatever. Just think about what your specific goals are. And I would imagine in the short term, it's going to be raising money. All right. And you want to start off with the people who are in your immediate circle. Email the people on your list. Um, Call the people who are in your Rolodex. Knock on doors of your neighbors. Tell them about your cause, why it's important, that they should get involved. Right. So you want to announce your campaign, right? So you want to talk about your goals. You want to talk about why it's important. And really, it's important to raise money, it's important to engage people, but that is really not going to be your overall message, right? Your message is going to be the value you're contributing to our community, the value that their gift or their participation would be contributing to people, and how they can help advance your organization's cause. And you want to keep this forward momentum, right? The more you talk about it, the more you do, that's going to attract more activity and hopefully exponential growth. You want to get supporters who can share video testimonials, because remember, Giving Tuesday is really a digital strategy. You want to support it by things that are happening, in the real world, so to speak. But for the most part, Giving Tuesday takes place online, right? You also want to use the hashtag Giving Tuesday, save the date graphics. You also want to use Giving Tuesday in every graphic that you have, so people can get a real good sense for the magnitude of the movement of the Giving Tuesday movement around the world. And when you do your hashtags, don't just limit your hashtags to Giving Tuesday. You want to create hashtags that are relevant to your specific organization, your specific um, initiative, right? So that you can keep track of how effective you have been, right? So here are some examples of Giving Tuesday communities that you can join. You might want to go to the Giving Tuesday website to see if this list has grown and see how you can get involved with larger movements. But right now, I would imagine too that you're very focused on what can happen for your particular organization. And even if you're not an organization, if you're a group of people who want to get together and support a cause, that's a wonderful thing as well. So you obviously want to leverage your network. You want to think about ways that you can get someone to match the dollars or match the efforts, so that you can grow faster in terms of your giving and your activity. And again, you want to email your supporters, keep them in the loop, of various developments, of the activities over time. Celebrate the small wins along the way. Doesn't have to be a big win, but just a little bitty win, so that people can see that there is some movement. People are more likely to join something that is moving, even if it's in incremental steps, than they are with something that doesn't seem to have any movement or traction. You want to publicize your campaign. You want to use the Giving Tuesday sample press release. You can find that on the website. If you're a member of the nonprofit Utopia community, we have that in our kit that you can use to develop your campaign. Again, we're going to meet as a group to share some hands-on examples, and help you to get started. You want to also email a calendar invite to everybody on your list. Bring them into a meeting on Zoom. You also want to have in person events to kick things off, get people feeling good about the cause, but not just feeling good, because this is a great thing to do. You want to really show the impact so people can see that not only is it a feel good exercise, but they are investing in changing lives, investing in changing the community, right? You also want to leverage social media. So think about TikTok, think about Twitter, think about LinkedIn, think about Facebook. And remember, too, the way you communicate is going to vary based on the media that you use. So obviously TikTok is used by younger people for the most part. So your messaging to them might be a little different than say your messaging on LinkedIn, which is, a more professional platform. And again, you want to make sure that you got Giving Tuesday using that hashtag in every one of your communications. But while you're using the Giving Tuesday hashtag, you want to create a hashtag for your own use, a hashtag that will summarize your activity, that will also drive people to your organization and raise awareness of your organization. And you want to send a 1 day to go email actually on November 27th. Since Giving Tuesday is November 28th, you want to send a 1 day to go email on the 28th and get people really, really excited. And you really kind of want to treat this as a countdown. So from now until Giving Tuesday, you want to send out occasional messages, letting people know what's what's being done, what to expect, how much progress that you have been making. And excuse the fact that I didn't change this slide in 2021. Giving Tuesday was on November 30th, but it's actually November 28th in 2023. So on Giving Tuesday, you actually want to go live. You want to share a photo once every hour. You don't have to create anything new. You just continue to use content that you have used before. Or if you want to start something new, you can. You could do a video, right? Every hour just to let people know, what's going on. There may be some activity you're engaged in. There may be some hourly progress that you want to participate in. You may want to thank people who are volunteering. The more things that you do to let people know what's going on, the better. You want to talk about how COVID has impacted your organization, how you have come out of it, but how your world has changed and how you're coping and you have emerged from the COVID-19 pandemic on the other side in a better place. You want to engage your clients, get the clients to do videos, get them to do testimonials, share pictures, and let them know how much better off they are, I guess, as a result of using your programs and services. You want to get board members to come on and testify about how gratifying and rewarding it is to be a part of this change that's taking place. You want to get staff who are actually managing the programs, get them to come on and talk about how rewarding it is to actually be in the program where they can see the difference that they're making in the lives of people. Get them to share videos, get them to share pictures. Again, December 1st, 2023, you want to say thank you to everybody who's been involved. So you want to say thank you to your staff, thank you to your donors, thank you to your volunteers, partners, faculty, if you're in a school, your community, businesses, everybody who has given some sort of help. You want to help them and thank them. So that's on December 1st. On Wednesday, November 29th, you want to label that as Thank You Wednesday, where you're just kind of doing, brief tweets or whatever. But on December 1st, you'll have more data in front of you where you can share a longer message. And then you want to email the Giving Tuesday team at info@givingtuesday.org. Let them know about your success. Let them know about your photos and announcements. And if you want to be creative too, you could do a Google My Maps, right? And you can map things like, where the activities have been, um, communities or census tracts where your clients live. You don't want to put their names out there, but you do want to kind of share, what this impact is. And the map is a really good way to do it. And, do the same for your donors. Again, don't give names of individuals or their individual addresses, but you do want to give some indication of where they come from so people can see, other folks in the neighborhood are contributing, and then that gives them even more reason to contribute. And you want to continue this momentum because remember, you're going to need to continue to raise money throughout the year. So just because Giving Tuesday is over on November 28th, and just because you say thank you on December 1st, doesn't mean that your needs go away. So you want to utilize the strategies that you've been using for Giving Tuesday throughout the year. And I always say this, all roads lead to compliance. So before you get out there asking for money, make sure that all your paperwork is in order. If you're in the state of Illinois, make sure that you've done your filings with the state. So that means you have to let the Secretary of State know who your board members are. That's, you'll be doing your annual report with the state. You also have to let the Attorney General know what your financial progress has been, right? So that's through the AG 990. And then you also have to make sure that your Form 990 at the federal level is in order, right? So people can feel confident when they donate to you. They know that you're a wise and excellent steward of any funding that you give them. And when you pick out social media messages, make sure that the messages are consistent with the overall messages you and your team decided that you wanted to convey when you were in their planning process. So, in this example, mark your calendar. November 30th is Giving Tuesday. How will you give? So, in real life, you'll say, mark your calendar. November 28th is Giving Tuesday. How will you give? Save the date. Giving Tuesday is November 28th. We're so proud to be a part of this global celebration of giving. And make sure that you're not the only one sharing these social media messages. Make sure that the folks in your network who are helping you to promote your organization and your cause have this, right? And then you have to let people know too that giving back isn't canceled, right? We live in this cancel culture that, we're still in the, in the land of giving, right? We hear in the land of living, but we're also in the land of giving. We're sharing ways that you can express generosity right from your own home. And then you want to insert ideas for how people can get involved in your mission, help move the needle on your cause right from their own home. You want to check out the Giving Tuesday Complete Toolkit for Nonprofits. Again, if you're a member of the Nonprofit Utopia community, we have that toolkit for you. You can download it. We have sample media messages. We have sample press releases. We have a suggested calendar of events for Giving Tuesday. And then, we'll have sample calendar for your content overall, right? Not just content for social media, but content for your website. So now we're going to talk about how you can develop and implement your Giving Tuesday campaign. Um, so you can have goals around dollars, right? You can have goals around the number of donors you engage. Not donors you engage, but donors who give. So you can kind of parse that up. You can have uh, goals for X number of new donors, Y number of donors who have continued on. Z number of young donors. How many monthly donors can we get? How many people can we get attending our events? Of those people who attend, how many have signed up to be volunteers? How many have signed up to give money? How many have eventually become board members? How many people are participating? How many people are we working with through collaborations? It doesn't have to be just one collaboration. What's your goal around collaboration? What do you want to get out of the collaboration? What's your goal around social media followers? What's your goal around people who are following you on Facebook, who are following your website, following you on Instagram? What's your goal for the number of volunteers? What's your goal for attendance? And then make sure that you write thank yous. And you might, to make sure that you do your thank yous, you might actually have goals around the thank yous. Because remember, thank yous are part of your stewardship. So here is a sample, that's taken from the Giving Tuesday workbook. And this workbook is in our community. So you want to, write down your goals. You want to be able to quantify your goals. So you can say how many. You could say, what are your metrics? You could talk about what success looks like. How do you know you're successful? Talk about the events, the number of events, the types of events. And then you develop a timeline. So you have in the first column, um, things like your team members, you have the activities, then you have a date, and then you mark off whether or not it's done. And then I would even add a column, if for some reason you're having problems, you might want to have a note section to explain why it's late. If it's something that has occurred already, or if it's something that is happening ahead of time, you might want to make a notation as to why. And then after that, you need to think about organizing your team. Your team could come from, a group of friends. Suppose you're a business who want to raise money for a cause, or you're a block club, or you are a nonprofit organization, sorority or fraternity. If you are an organization that actually have staff, you think about who your team looks like in terms of staff and board. You want to also think about who your givers and volunteers are. Think about who your amplifiers are. Those are people who are people with quote unquote big mouths. So they can be influencers on social media. They could be the local press. They could be, quote unquote, fine, upstanding citizens in the community. They might not necessarily be on social media, but they have influence to cause other people to follow. They can endorse your campaign. Who are your community partners? They could be small businesses, they could be PR professionals, marketing professionals, etc. And then you want to build a campaign brand. What's the campaign name? Do you have a special logo for the campaign, or is the campaign logo the same as your organization? How do you want people to think about this campaign? So when we think about the brand, the logo is important, but that's not all that goes into branding. Branding is the whole experience. Branding is the position that people have in their minds, or the notion they have in their minds when they think of your organization, when they think of you, when they think of your campaign. So think about all of that before you develop your marketing materials. Think about what the visuals are going to look like. Think about what your tagline is going to be, and make sure all of that stuff is congruent, right? Make sure it's in alignment so that people can really, really start to identifying your campaign with your brand, with your organization, and hopefully with an investment and change for a good cause, right? You want to develop your campaign narrative, right? So again, you want to have a brand name, you want to have a logo, you want to have a tagline, all of that stuff needs to be consistent, but then that needs to be supported, right? And you need to reinforce it because remember, a brand is not one of these things, it's all of these things. So you need to be able to have good stories, right? So have your clients tell their story about what life was like before they encountered your organization, what life is like now, what can they do now as a result, a direct result of your programming, right? You might want to have a staff person tell their story about being involved. Might want to talk about, have a volunteer tell their story. Not only do you want to have feel good stories, but you want to have supporting data and provide the data in a way that's visually appealing, right? And you want to marry the data with the feel good story so the most discerning of us can understand that this is not just about feeling good, but it's about making an investment and making the money count, right? You want to have a matching challenge. See if you can get a sponsor that for every gift that you get at the grassroots level, this corporate sponsor might be willing to donate, $1, dollar for dollar, $2 for every dollar you raise, etc. You might consider tying this to your year end appeal. Because remember, Giving Tuesday is in November, but you're going to still continue to fundraise, at least through Christmas. And any wise organization is going to fundraise all year round, right? So you want to develop at least 3 stories that are complementary to your overall messaging. And then, our members, we will go into a deeper dive on that in person, not in person, but it will be a members only event, more hands on Wednesday. So check your inbox as a reminder to join us on Wednesday for a members only event. You want to collect visual assets that support your narrative. So you want your assets, ideally, your visual assets will be photographs from actual events, actual people. If worse comes to worse, you can use, canned photos, right? But your appeal would be much more effective if you could use real life people, etc. Put your logo in there, tell the story. Make sure you talk about the challenge that was overcome as a direct result of the work that you're doing, right? So you want to also make an inspiring ask. So the formula here is you're going to use the belief statement plus a you statement plus an opportunity statement to pull a compelling call to action together. So what does that look like? Here's an example. A school that is raising funds to build a pantry for students. The campaign will begin with the story of a student who was hungry. And then you have the belief statement. We believe that no student should have to choose between food and learning. The you statement. You can help us stock the pantry so that no CCBC student has to make the choice or go hungry. And then the opportunity statement. Are you with us? And then you want to make sure that you can identify ambassadors. So ambassadors are those influencers who they represent or they personify what it is, the organization, particular program or campaign stands for, and they're credible. It doesn't have to be a board member, but it could be. You might consider segmenting your market, so to speak. Your board member can appeal to their peers. Your clients can appeal to their peers. Your staff can appeal to their peers. So you have several levels of ambassadors, all people with influence within their own circle. So you want to identify these people at various levels, right? And you want to engage them by setting aside a day to reach out to them and then host an ambassador kickoff, so that they're not out there in the wilderness. You want to make sure that everybody is on the same page, sharing the same message, etc. And then you want to make sure that you give them the resources that they need. So that could be pictures, that could be content that they can upload on the social media, that can be, certain messages that they can share on social media and in email and on their websites. So this is a sample from page 12 of the Step by Step Giving Tuesday workbook. This workbook is in our online community for members. So again, you want to think about, what staff and board should be involved, what civic leaders should be involved. So you want to list all of these relevant stakeholders. And then the most important thing, you want to build in accountability. So you want to ask who will be responsible for creating the content, right? And communicating with the ambassadors and keeping them on task, making sure that, you're giving an account for the money that's coming in, sharing the thank you notes and all that other stuff. And you really want to use empathy. So you want to put yourself in your donor shoes. And donors could be individuals, donors could be foundations, donors could be businesses, anybody who gives, right? So put yourself in their shoes, and go through the experience for yourself, right? So you want to email yourself any emails before you send them out. Check out glitches, make sure all the links work, make sure everything is up to date. You want to click to your website, make sure there are no dead links. Make sure the experience is not cumbersome. One of the most frustrating things is to go to a website and it takes you down a rabbit hole. People will tend not to continue to the end if it's too many steps. You also want to make sure that your website has a way to collect the money, right? You want to make sure your website has a way to collect contact information to keep you engaged. You want to make sure that you tell people thank you. You want to, so after you go through that experience for yourself, if there are any glitches, you want to make sure you correct those before you have people go into your website. All right. And then you also want to make sure that you optimize all of your messages with search engines to make sure that your messages are easily found. And you want to create content that converts, content with calls to action, with value propositions that make people really, really want to give. And then you want to also, going back to the technology on your website, you want to think about all the ways that technology is used in order to reach people. So, your website, ways people can give online, your marketing and social channels, that could be emails, and other social channels. And just make sure that everything is in order. Things need to be updated. um, Suppose you haven't made an entry on your website in a year, right? You want to put some posts on there that are more current, so, or either take the dates off the post so people get the knowledge that this is an ongoing concern, right? You want to make sure that if there are any other problems, that you fix those. And you sometimes you can't actually catch everything. Sometimes you won't get to the glitches until you actually encounter them, with a real prospect. But make sure that you fix everything as they arise. Fix it immediately, because the longer you wait, the longer it could take for you to raise money. And also remember, branding is the experience people have with you. It's not just the logo. So the experience they have on your website, that's part of your brand. It'll definitely be part of your reputation. All right, so you want to gamify your Giving Tuesday. So you might consider having contests or challenges, and then you also might want to consider getting a matching gift. So these are things that make things a little bit more fun, a little bit more competitive. So here is a sample matching gift worksheet. So for matching funds, you want to identify generous donors who can provide funds to spur generosity and progress toward campaign goals. You want to ask them to consider giving their year-end gift early to support challenges and spur participation. And here's a list of people who you would consider doing that for, right? Also, make sure you include their pictures, maybe a testimonial, so that it's not just the name in the list, right? But you want people to identify as closely as possible to the people who are giving a matching gift. And here is also part of the challenge worksheet. So you might list the challenge contest ideas there. And then after that, you develop it won't be a 6 week communication strategy, or it could be a 6 week communication strategy, but your 6 weeks won't end up with Giving Tuesday. It'll go out 2 to 3 weeks beyond Giving Tuesdays. And quite frankly, you need to have a communication strategy that's ongoing, right? So you want to keep people engaged. You've heard the term, the best time to ask for money is when you don't need it. So the best time to go to your banker for a line of credit is when you don't need it, because when you need it, your credit is probably will have taken a hit, because of cash flow issues. The same is true for fundraising. You want to keep engaging your donors, your prospects, even when you're not asking money. So well beyond Giving Tuesday, you want to have a strategy that continues to let people know about the good work that you're doing, the changes that you're making in the lives of your clients and in your community. All right, so at this point, I'm going to open it up for questions. If you're still in the audience, please post your questions, post your comments. If you have had good success with Giving Tuesday campaigns, share what some of your strategies have been in the chat, and I'll share that with our audience. If you've had challenges with Giving Tuesday, please share that in the chat, and I will share that with our audience and see what kind of feedback we can get going. If you are a member of the Nonprofit Utopia community, feel free to post any questions. We'll continue this conversation in the community. Remember, on Wednesday, we will be meeting live in the community with some more specific ways that you can develop content for your website, content for Instagram, Facebook, so that you can increase your chances of being successful. If you're interested in joining, you can join us at nonprofitutopia.mn.co. That's our membership website. You can find us on Facebook, and you can also follow us on Twitter. Okay, so I am going to check and see if we have any comments. At this point, we don't have any comments, but again, this video will be on YouTube. It will also be on Facebook. You can feel free to post any comments that you have while watching the video recording, and we will get back to you. All right, so thank you so much for joining us. And for our members, we will definitely see you on Wednesday. All right, you take care. Bye-bye.